All right, let's talk about the top frequently asked questions I get all the time on my live Q&A, and I've gotten over the last few decades working at the Social Security Administration, helping millions of people out with retirement. I said this in the thumbnail. This is going to be the top three frequently asked questions, but actually, I did number one yesterday. The most asked question I get in terms of retirement benefits is, when should you actually start your retirement benefits? And I just did that one yesterday. It needed a little bit more time, so I did that video. So make sure you go on to my YouTube channel, MyGov Expert, or just Google Dr. Ed, and you can find it there under the videos. So most of the shorter videos I have under the videos tab there. The longer ones, like the live I am doing right now, you just click on the live one and you can see the 1,000 or so. So I've got 1,200 videos up there already on all things Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and all the rest of it. Okay, so that's the top one. But let's go into the other ones as well. Okay, so what are the other questions that I get all the time is, and I'm going to use my website here because I've got more detail on the website itself, and I'll go ahead and pop up the website. It's mygovexpert.com there, and it's completely free. You go in there and you've got all kinds of things that you can check out. Okay, so the number one question I get all the time is, after when should I start, is, how are the benefits calculated? How does Social Security determine how much I'm going to get for the rest of my life? How, in terms of retirement benefits, disability, spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits, all the rest of it. So let's talk about how your benefits are calculated. So a lot of people misunderstanding there. They think Social Security benefits are calculated based on your last 3 years or last 5 years or last 10 years of earnings or something like that. That is incorrect. Social Security looks at your high 35 years of earnings. So they don't look at the last 35. They look at your entire lifetime, and they pick out the high 35 years of earnings, and then they index that for a wage index. So a lot of people make the mistake and they say, well, I made, $20,000, $30,000 last year, and I made, $10,000 when I was, 18 years old. So obviously, the money I made last year is more. No, the money you made in 18, because it was indexed for inflation, a wage index, that's worth a lot more. So if you made, $20,000 when you're 18 years old, that might be equivalent to like about $80,000 to $100,000 today, possibly. So what they do is they take that high 35 years, and then they divide it to see what your average indexed monthly earnings. So it's called the AMI, averaged indexed monthly earnings. And to get to this webpage, it's retirement, and then you click on the frequently asked questions there, and it gives you how my Social Security benefits are calculated if you're watching this from another source. All right, so they take the average index monthly earnings, and then they multiply it by these bin points, because if you're a higher wage earner throughout your life, you get a lower percentage as a replacement rate for what you paid in. If you're a lower waged earner, you get a higher percent. So a lower waged earner could get 90% replacement rate of what they paid into Social Security, their average index monthly earnings. A high wage earner can get about 35% or so. So 30, 35% or 90%. It really depends on what your average index monthly earnings. And that's one of the things, the Social Security Fairness Act, that 3% of the population are getting essentially more because they don't understand that. But anyway, so 2025, the bin points, what they do is they take the first $1,226 of your earning throughout your life, and they multiply it by 90%. And then they take the next bin point from 1226 to 7391 and calculate it at 32%. And then anything after 7391, they multiply it by 15%. And these numbers right here, the 90, 32, 15%, pretty much stay the same. The actual bin points, they change every year. And I'm coming up with a calculator now that you can go in there. It's not completely done yet, but hopefully in the future, when you're watching this video, it'll be done. So that's how your benefits are calculated. And then the follow up to that question I get often is, okay, that's how my benefits are calculated. What about being recalculated? If you start your benefits at 62, 63, or whatever the case may be, and you continue to work and pay into Social Security, yes, your benefits are recalculated, and that's 100% automatic. So whether you're 67 or 77 or 87 years old, if you continue to pay Social Security, and that's one of your high 35 years of earnings, you don't have to do anything. Social Security automatically goes in there, recalculates your benefits, 100% automatic. You don't have to do anything. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time because they don't know what your earnings were for the previous year until January, February, March, or something like that. So sometimes it takes a little while for you to get that increase if it's one of your high 35 years. But you will get it increased. If it takes them till July to do it, they will give you that increase effective January, so you won't lose anything. So make sure you go into my website there if you've got any other questions on that. Okay, so the number 2 question I get is, if I file benefits, if I start my benefits, can I change my mind? So yes, if you start your retirement benefits or spouse benefits or surviving spouse benefits or even disability benefits, you can always change your mind. So let's stick to the retirement part of it. So if you decide that you file a retirement claim and then for some reason you change your mind, decide to go back to work, your boss finds out and says, hey, I'll give you a $50 of an hour increase if you don't stop working and come back, and something, life happens. So what you do is, if you do it within 12 months, you can withdraw your application. So you filed for your benefits, you started receiving your benefits within 12 months, you can call Social Security and say, never mind. And then you withdraw the application, SSA 561. But because you're withdrawing the application like it never happened, therefore you should have never got that money. You have to pay that money back. So that's only within 12 months. If you are filing for benefits early and it looks like your boss decided to give an extra $50 an hour and you're going to be going over the annual earnings limit, then you can call Social Security and they can essentially suspend your benefits. So because Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over the annual earnings limit. This year it's the $23,400. So if you're going to be going over that, to avoid any type of overpayment in the future, you just call Social Security and say, yeah, I told you I was going to stay under $23,400, but I'm not. I'm going to be making $60,000, $70,000, whatever the case may be, and they will suspend your benefits. The good thing is, if they suspend your benefits, I'll talk about that in a little bit, they'll be recalculated, yes, at a later time. Okay. So, and another way you can essentially suspend your benefits is, once you reach your full retirement age, you can suspend your benefits voluntarily. You can suspend them and get what's called delayed retirement credits. Because anytime you delay receiving your Social Security benefits after your full retirement age, Social Security adds 8% every year to your benefit amount. So once you get close to your full retirement age, you can call Social Security and say, hey, suspend my benefits. I want to get those delayed retirement credits, the 8% per year. You might have to battle a little bit. I've got the link on my website there about that, because you often have to teach the person at the front window about that, because not many people know about it. Not many people use that. Okay. So the next thing that I get a lot of question is, what about working itself? Can you work? Yes, you can work while you're receiving Social Security benefits. We'll stick to retirement benefits, and retirement benefits in terms of work, Social Security considers that to be regular retirement benefits on your own record. Spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, independently entitled divorce spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits, they're all the same. The only thing that's different for working and receiving Social Security benefits is receiving disability benefits, or SSI. SSI is a welfare-based program the Social Security Administration administers. But in terms of retirement, spouse benefits, working, it's all the same. If you are receiving those benefits before your full retirement age, then you're limited to the amount of money you can make. And again, you can go to my website there, mygovexpert.com, click on the retirement, and you've got the little working and benefits tab. And this one is working perfectly here, the little calculator. You can put in your date of birth, you can expect your earnings there, and it tells you what counts. So income that counts are wages, net income from business, your government benefits, including your Social Security benefits themselves, do not count. Investment income, pensions, IRAs, or anything like that, that does not count as income. So if you decide to go back to work early, remember, once you hit your full retirement age, work doesn't affect your benefits negatively at all. As I mentioned, it might just increase your benefits because you're paying more into Social Security. But when you're receiving benefits early, you're limited. This year, it's the $23,400. Anything that over that, Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. The year you hit your full retirement age, the limit is $62,160 in the months before you reach your full retirement age. And then it's before that, it's Social Security holds back $1 for every $3 you go over. Once you reach your full retirement age, you can make $1 billion a month, and it does not affect your Social Security benefits negatively at all. Okay, so there's the calculator there. There's some idea of the annual earnings limit, and here's the one that a lot of people miss. There's also a monthly earnings limit. So, and then I've got another thing about a little bit more detail on what counts as earnings for the earnings limit. But in terms of monthly versus annual, so the first year you start receiving your Social Security retirement benefits, Social Security can switch to a monthly earnings limit. So let's say you want to start your benefits in July. And from January until June, let's exaggerate, you make $1 billion a month, right? Social Security doesn't care. They don't care. They will ask you, and when you want to start your benefits in July, they will say, how much did you make this year? They said, you say $1 billion. They say, okay, well, don't care. How much are you going to make starting July? And you say, well, starting July, I'm going to stay under the monthly earnings limit. The monthly earnings limit for this year is $1,950. And they'll say, okay, are you going to stay under $1,950 for the rest of the year? You say, yes. And then they'll start your benefits in July. What you earned before July is not relevant. They only care about when you started your benefits. The following year, you can't do that again. You can only do that once, essentially. So the following year, you have to stay under the annual earnings limit, the $23,400 or whatever it's going to be for 2026 or 2027. So definitely, there's other things on there. Again, I already talked about work increasing your benefits. Self-employment is a little just like everybody that's self-employed out there. There's all kinds of different things. There's a substantial earnings, general benchmark. So check out the little frequently asked question there on the bottom if you're self-employed. But there are people out there that are not getting the benefits because they don't understand that you can work. And a lot of people just miss that fact that they don't care what you made before you hit your full retirement age. So now now hopefully you've got your knowledge about when to start, whether you can work, whether you can change your mind, how to suspend your benefits, and how benefits are calculated. All right, so let's get into some of your questions. Looks like we've got a lot of questions already. This is a live Q&A, so if you're watching this later, make sure you subscribe and all that kind of good stuff, and we'll see if we can help you out. Okay, let's see here. I've heard repeatedly everything stays exactly the same, but it's natural to be worried about that. Not sure if there's a form or something you'll need to complete. Okay, not sure what everything stays the same. It changes but stays the same, right? Let's see here. Let's find actual questions. Does anyone know if you still get your SSDI sent to your bank if you live overseas? Yes. Well, it really depends whether, if you live in Cuba or North Korea, then no. And the Department of Treasury has some other places that, it's a hard. But yeah, if you live overseas, a lot of people living overseas are receiving Social Security disability insurance. Just have to notify Social Security of your address. That's the most important thing, because when you're on disability benefits, in case you get a CDR, a continuing disability review, if you don't respond to it, they're going to stop your benefits. Okay. So yes, Social Security on the internal records, it has your residence address, it has your mailing address, and it has your direct deposit. So if you want your mailing address to be overseas or use a virtual post office or friend or whatever the case may be, then more power to you. But in terms of residence, you're kind of supposed to tell them where you're actually living. It doesn't matter, though, if you're a U.S. citizen. If you're not a U.S. citizen, then on my YouTube description, it has payments abroad screening tool to determine what your status is there. But one cautionary note: if you are going to change your direct deposit to an overseas bank account, call Social Security, get it done, but do not close out the other bank account until you know everything was switched correctly. Social Security employees, they don't get, a lot of requests to change direct deposit overseas, and they don't know the SWIFT code, and they mess it up a lot. So, insider scoop here. Call them up, tell them you want it to go wherever, get the SWIFT code, the routing number, and all that kind of good stuff. And then, but don't close out the previous bank account until you know the check 100% is going to your new bank account. So in that way, if you don't get it, you can just fall back to the other one until you get it fixed, until you get it figured out. Maybe this sounds silly, but I don't know how to get the phone number for any of our government offices. Yeah, no problem. Social Security kind of makes it hard. It really depends when the Social Security office was established, whether there's a local number listed or whether the 800 number, the 800-772-1213. Yeah, it's kind of an internal thing. Nobody knows about the fact, but yeah, you can call the 800 number, and they can send messages to your local office if you need anything. So, or you just Google, when I closer to retired, I will call you for advice. Sounds like a plan. Come on over. Let's see here. I have asked this question a few times, but I was missed by a hair. Okay. Are wrongful death proceeds counted as income? I'm receiving survivor benefits. Nope, not at all, because it's not considered earned income. So you didn't work for something like that. Yeah. So it's not employment. So any type of, insurance payout or, inheritance or anything like that isn't considered income, earned income. So for Social Security. Let's see. Just want to clarify, I can draw from my ex-husband's Social Security, but choose the higher amount. Okay, so it really depends if your ex-husband is still living or not. If your ex-husband is still out there somewhere, then you have to file for benefits on your own record first. You file for benefits on your own record. And then if your spouse or ex-spouse's benefit amount is over twice yours, then you can file for the difference on their record. If your ex is deceased, then you can just file for surviving spouse benefits and don't touch yours and let yours continue to accumulate. On my website, again, it has all the details on the survivor section on that. So if you go into, again, the website again, it's broken down into retirement, disability, survivor, and family. Family is, spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, and child benefits, and all the rest of it. But the survivor benefits section gives you all the details. And this is a big one right here: survivor benefits or your own retirement. So it gives you all the details about whether, okay, should you take one or you should take the other or switch to another one later. So it gives you all the details there. Why are you against stopping fraud and waste? Not sure where you got that. Never said I was against stopping fraud and waste. I have said that Doge and Elon Musk are completely looking in the wrong places. They came out and they said, 20 million zombies are receiving Social Security benefits. And I said from day one, no, you're looking at the wrong record. And I said, hey, if you want to find fraud, waste, and abuse, call me up. But you're going down, that's a wild goose chase. And guess what? I was right. and the 40% of calls going into Social Security were fraud. I said, no, that's incorrect. And guess what? So I'm not against it. I'm for it. But Doge seems to be against it because they can't seem to find anything, which is strange. I mean, either get my amount or my ex-husband's, not the total amount. Yeah, so you get one offsets the other. So if you're looking at just regular spouse or divorced spouse, not a surviving spouse claim, then what happens is you get the difference. If you're entitled to 500 on your own, and then you're entitled to a total of 1,000 from your husband or ex-husband, then what happens is you essentially get two checks, but you get the higher. So you get $1,000, but 500 of that comes from your spouse, and then 500 of that comes from your own record. So your total is $1,000. So you're technically getting two, but one offsets the other. So, all right. Let's see. If some of my 35 years on my Social Security are zero, then that's what will be calculated out. So if you only have 30 years of earnings, Social Security will still divide it by 420 months, which is 35 years. So yeah. So any time you work and replace a zero with any type of money, it will actually help you out. Hey, Penelope. Penny, no, actually, if you're filing divorce spouse benefits, you get your own benefits first and then difference of what you were eligible for. Penelope is always right on there. Yes, that is a fact. Robert, what's up, Robert? I am 58, survivor benefits, was a DAC until my mother died in 2002. Am I eligible to marry now? Okay, so you are receiving disabled widows benefits. Oh, no, okay, wait a second. You're receiving just regular disabled adult child benefits as a survivor. Okay, so you're still receiving DAC until my mother died in 2000. So you were receiving disabled adult child benefits from a living parent, and now you're receiving disabled adult child benefits from a deceased parent. So you're still receiving disabled adult child benefits. And as a DAC, a disabled adult child, yes, you can marry, but your benefits will stop. There are some exceptions. One of those exceptions is if you marry another disabled adult child, another person receiving disability benefits. So, yeah, definitely check that out. And because your benefits, because if you're a disabled adult child and you're dependent on your parent because you're not able, because you're a disabled adult child, Social Security considers, hey, if you go out there and get married and start a family, then you're no longer dependent on a parent type of situation. So that's why those benefits will stop. So Vanessa, how is survivor benefits calculated if applied for at age 60? So basically, if you apply for it at age 60, then you'll get 71.5% of the benefit amount. And the benefit amount depends on whether that person, the deceased, was receiving benefits at their full retirement age, or they waited till get delayed retirement credits, or they got benefits early, or whatever the case may be. And then you can go onto my website. This is on, again, the survivors section there, and you can actually estimate your survivor benefits, and you just put in there your date of birth, your spouse's primary insurance amount, how much the person was actually receiving, and it gives you kind of a guesstimate of how much your benefits would be as a survivor. Survivor benefits are always the calculations are kind of strange because there's so many variables involved there. So hope you all have been enjoying Social Security. New guy in charge of it has no idea what job is. RIP SSA. Yeah, the audio came out where he was like, I wasn't looking for the job, and they offered it to me, and I had to Google what the Social Security Commissioner was, and yeah, that's the best and the brightest for the job. But our fingers are crossed, right? Hopefully, yeah. Stephen, could you briefly speak about calculating or finding your PIA for your online website to calculate your benefits? Thanks for all your hard work. You're welcome. Yeah, the calculating the PIA is basically, again, the calculator I'm working on it's not perfect, so I want to go back there and redesign it a little bit. But a quick way to get your PIA, your primary insurance amount, is just call Social Security 800 number, or go on to SSA.gov, go to mysocialsecurity.gov and set up an account, and then you can go in there and you see your PIA. Your PIA, your primary insurance amount, is the amount you would have received at your full retirement age, not early. It's all your benefits and your spouse benefits and all that are based on your primary insurance amount. And then once you know that, you can calculate how much your benefits will be at 62 or 64 or whatever the case may be. That is yes. So you can calculate your full retirement age there, and then this is definitely working. The benefits calculator. Once you know your PIA, you can let me. I guess you're not able to see this. So this is the Social Security benefits calculator. So you go into the retirement section there, click on when to start, and then at when start benefits, and then you just put in, let's say 1961, and let's say you find out your PIA is 1541, and you calculate, and it tells you how much your benefits would be if you started at 62. So it'd be 1,078. If you waited till 70, it'd be 1910. And it also tells you kind of a break-even analysis here of, kind of an idea of when you should start. So that's a 100% free calculator. So make sure you go in there and you plan accordingly to make sure you get as much as you can out of Social Security. You paid for it. Joseph, thank you for your service to the United States of America while you were serving in the military. I'm everyone in America salute. Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Unless you were, staff sergeant or above, then I salute you first. So anyway, or officer. Well, Congressional Medal of Honor. Everybody always salutes people with Congressional Medal of Honor, no matter if they're private or general. So let's see. September 2002, I was diagnosed totally disabled. I'm 67 now. Social Security retirement 987 month. If I can't work, do I lose Medicaid and Medicare and EBT? Yeah, with the new bill coming in, the big beautiful bill, there's massive cuts to Medicaid, and because of the Pay Go Act, there's also going to be massive cuts to Medicare. But supposedly, again, there's a lot of collateral damage when stuff like this goes through, and they cut massive amounts, off the top of a budget, essentially. Because you're receiving disability benefits, actually, you're not receiving disability benefits anymore because you're 67 years old, and you may have been receiving disability benefits up until last year, but because you're 67 now, remember, disability benefits switch to regular retirement benefits once you hit your full retirement age. So you are actually receiving retirement benefits. And your retirement benefits are only $987. So that's not SSI. If it was SSI, it'd be 967. So it looks like you're just over the SSI threshold. But yeah, with that amount of money, it depends on your state. You should keep Medicaid. If that's all the money you have coming into the house, no other resources to speak of, then, and there is going to be a lot of extra hoops to jump through. So that's usually what happens, is that collateral damage where they say, okay, we're going after these people. And then, it's not a sniper rifle type stuff. It's, 8-gauge shotgun where they just kind of blast the side of the building and, see what happens. So, but as of right now, you're with that amount of income, and because it's not a disability type thing, because you're no longer receiving disability, your Medicaid should continue. If your Medicaid stops, then remember, if they decide to kick you off Medicaid or lower your, level of Medicaid, and you're no longer getting your $185 paid to Medicare, then you're going to have to pay the $185 yourself. But as of right now, I wouldn't worry about it. I would just go on. But I would definitely reach out to your politician and say, hey, if you're going to go after fraud, waste, and abuse, go after fraud, waste, and abuse. Just don't cut, hundreds of billions of dollars from the budget and, let the chips fall where they may type of, attack on it. So if my ex-wife is remarried, can she still get divorced spouse benefits? No. Divorced and surviving spouse benefits, you can get remarried after 60. and get benefits. But if she got remarried and then divorced, yes, because yeah, as long as you're single, then you can get spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits from an X1, an XX, an XXX, or whatever the case may be. A lot of people out there are missing that. They say, well, I was married to someone for 10 years in my 30s and 40s. And then, wow, that person made a lot of money. But since then I've gotten remarried. Yeah, I got divorced, but I guess my remarriage cancels out my ability to receive benefits from my first spouse. 100% incorrect. You wouldn't believe how many people are walking around out there not getting the money that they need because they don't know that. And that's why y'all are going to share, subscribe, and like, and all that kind of good stuff. So we get the word out there. Please, please, please. So let's see. For Calico Gal, disabled in 2021. While on disability, my company was sold. I was immediately vested in 2022. In 2024, when I got SSDI, they charged me IRMA. Oh, okay. Filed the SS44, but was declined. What can I do to get the Social Security? Okay, so yeah, so that sounds like got my SSDI charge. So yeah, not the SSDI is not IRMA. You're talking about the income related monthly adjustment amount. That's your Medicare Part B premium. So that has nothing to do with Social Security disability. It's Medicare. So you filed the SSA 44 and said that you sure you made that money. You made over 106 or over 212,000 if you're married, but you have since had a life-changing event. And yeah, so your company was sold. And if that was like a IRA or some type of distribution, then yeah, unfortunately, you can appeal it, but you're going to lose the appeal on that one. If it was because of income as well, so let's say you're single and you got, $50,000 from investment distribution or something like that, and then you got another $60,000 from work, but then you since stopped working, then you only got $50,000 essentially. So then the SSA 44 should cancel out that extra Part B premium. But remember that Part B premium is only for 1 year. So it's only for, I guess it's taken place last year or something. So it was only for that 1 year. That doesn't apply this year. Or if it's this year, it doesn't apply next year. They reevaluate that every year. So, and then you can go onto my Medicare section there and it gives you details about IRMA as well. So let's see here. So I'll show you. So if you go into, again, the Medicare section there, click on the IRMA, and that's exactly what you're talking about. The tax brackets, how do you pay the surcharge, and life-changing event. It goes into all the details there. So let's see. I'm all confused about this whole mess. Yeah, I am. Yeah. Let's see. Patty. I started collecting for retirement age February 2025. Do I need to suspend Social Security to continue the income calculations for SSI, or can I continue to collect SSI? Okay, well, SSI is the welfare-based program, so I'm assuming you mean just regular Social Security, not SSI. Okay, so you started collecting it. Do I need to suspend Social Security to continue the income calculations? Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. What do you mean by income calculations? Do you want to suspend your Social Security benefits so you can get the delayed retirement credits? Yeah, you could do that, but not sure what you mean by income calculations. Bonnie, I wish I knew all this great information back in the day. Yes, that's what if I would have known this, yeah, that's the response I get. If I would have known this 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 3 months ago, and yeah, so we're unfortunately late a lot getting information out there. Learned a lot on this website. The more you listen, the more you learn. Thank you, Ed. You're welcome. And Bonnie, so sounds like you're all squared away. You're getting the benefits you earned and need, and you're all taken care of, and you're staying politically active to make sure those benefits continue. Now you need to go out there and make sure everybody around you is in the same good boat you are in terms of getting everything you earned. Colleen, I watch Dr. Ed's channel every time he shares to learn. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, every day. Wow, watching me every day, that's got to be excruciating. So, um, earner, ex-wife, high earner, going to start collecting Social Security at age 62. I'm at full retirement age. If I get her benefits, will they look at her full retirement as far as her benefits? Yes. In terms of how they determine how much you can get as a spouse, they look at her PIA, her full benefit at her full retirement age. They don't look at how much, if she's reduced. So if your benefit amount is less than, if your full benefit amount, your PIA, if your PIA is less than half of her PIA or vice versa, then one of you are eligible for benefits on the other person's record. So Rally Sport. My husband is still working at 68. I'm getting disability on my record. When can I apply on his earnings? When you turn at least 62. Yep. When you turn 62, you can file for benefits on his record as a spouse. Vanessa, I should have added that my survivor spouse benefit will be coming from my deceased disabled husband. How are they calculated? Okay, so if that person was disabled, then even if they started receiving their benefits at 50 years old, it's not considered early retirement because a disability is not considered early. So therefore, if you're looking for the surviving spouse calculation, it's very, very easy. You need to find out what that person's PIA was, their primary insurance amount, and then that's it. You don't need to, there is no rib limb or other calculations there. You just need to find out what that person's primary insurance amount. And then if you wait until your full retirement age, you get 100% of that person's full benefit amount. If you start your benefits at 60, you get 71.5% of that person's full benefit amount. So yeah, if that case, it's very easy to do the calculations. I was wept when I taught in Maryland. Will I get a check? Thanks. Yeah, if your Social Security benefits have been wept, then based on the Social Security Fairness Act, your benefits will be unwept. And yeah, if you are already receiving Social Security benefits and your benefits were recalculated based on the WEP, then you should have already been unwept. About 2 million people out of the 3 million that this applies to are already done. They've already gotten their checks, $6,000, $10,000, some $20,000 back pay. So there's another 1/3, about another million people that are still getting their things calculated, but those are mostly manual calculations. If you are actually wept and you're already on the MBR and all that kind of good stuff, which it sounds like you are, yours should have been one of the automatic ones. So I would reach out to Social Security and say, hey, my case isn't difficult. Why didn't I get that increase? So, Patty, are survivor benefits a separate claim, or if you claim spouse benefits early, are they permanently cut? So pretty much with any benefits you take from Social Security other than disability or SSI, if you take those benefits early, yes, they are reduced. Spouse benefits, at 62, surviving spouse benefits at 60. And then are they a separate claim? Yes. If you are receiving retirement benefits on your own record and you have a spouse that passes away, you have to file for the surviving spouse benefits. If you are already receiving benefits on a spouse's record and they pass away, if you're full retirement age or beyond, it's automatic. They automatically convert you from spouse benefits to surviving spouse benefits. If your spouse passes, or your spouse or your ex passes away before your full retirement age, then you have to do, it's not an application, it's a certificate of election where you have to contact Social Security and say, hey, I want to start my surviving spouse benefits early, or I don't want to start my surviving spouse benefits early, because if you're under your full retirement age and a spouse passes away, they will suspend your benefits until you contact them and tell them what you want to do. So how accurate is the online estimate Social Security? It's pretty accurate, but it depends how close you are to your full retirement age. So because Social Security, the online thing, they guesstimate future earnings. So if you go in there at 50 years old and say, "Hey, I want to see how much I will receive at 67," what it'll do is, okay, you're 50 years old and you're making about, $50,000 a year now. We will guesstimate that you're going to continue making $50,000 until you hit 67, and then if you do that, here's how much your benefit amount will be. But if you go in there at 50 and see that number and it says $3,000, and all of a sudden you say, okay, well, that's enough to work to retire on. I'll quit working and wait till I'm 67. Well, then it's not going to be 3,000 because you're going to miss all those years. So long story short, if you go in there at 66, the calculations are going to be really, really accurate. If you go in there at 50, it really depends on what you're going to do for the next, 17 years. So. Manteca, California, Social Security office. My call was 9 minutes total. Awesome. Direct calling. Okay, Tony, thanks for that heads up. Yeah, so Manteca, California, able to get, one of the things on Social Security, that's great, or we're happy that, but there's other offices. The Commissioner of Social Security, Frank Bisignano. Hopefully you finished Googling what the Commissioner of Social Security does, but here's a recommendation. Offices like Manteca, they were able, their staffing is okay-ish, it sounds like. There are other offices throughout the country that are having a hard time. My office was, the third largest in the country. And so we heard other offices, people, staff, Social Security employees coming from other offices, or, our employees going to other offices. And they're like, wow, this is a cakewalk compared to Ed's office, to our office back there, because our office was crazy. So we need some of that workload sharing, workload mobility. 1,200 offices. Some offices have a little bit of capacity, or they're not as underwater as much, and other offices are more underwater. So yeah, so it's great that you were able to get helped out. Chris, I need to know if there's someone I can talk to on the phone. Call your senators and ask them, says, hey, how come my local office isn't picking up the phone? I will be turning 62 in November, and I want to file for disability and retirement. All right, good. Rib dib. I have previously filed for disability about 4 years ago and was denied. I owe back taxes from travel nursing. Will they take it? I don't do taxes, but taxes, they're really taking them now, the student loans and all that other kind of stuff. But okay, so what C. Chandler Rogers is talking about is great that you know this. It's called a rib dib. So if you are, you're under your full retirement age, 62, 63, 64, or whatever, and you want to go ahead and start your retirement benefits, but one of the reasons you want to start your retirement benefits is because you're not able to work because of a disability. You can file for both. You won't get both. You won't get retirement benefits and disability benefits. What will happen is, and why people do this is, when you file for disability, it takes months and months and months and months to get a decision. And people just can't wait months and months and months to get money coming in. So they go ahead and file for retirement benefits, so they start getting some money coming in while they're waiting for their disability decision. So, and then once the disability decision comes in, it depends when they determine your disability began, but it might reduce your benefit amount if you've taken retirement benefits for a certain amount of months, not, by those months. So, but it really depends when they start your disability benefits. But that is a good option. But if you do that, will they take, if you owe taxes? Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. If you're a billionaire, you're fine. If you're, making under $100,000, $200,000 a year, then yeah, they're going to come after you for taxes. So there's that. Getting $0 letter stated not entitled, don't live in the U.S., Canadian citizen, spouse U.S. and Canada, overpayment for 14 months, status the same since 2016, appealed totalization agreement. Okay. All right. Not sure if there's a question in there. Sounds like we need Robin Hood back, taking from the rich, giving to the poor. Yeah, we've got a reverse Robin Hood now. It's the largest redistribution of wealth, in kind of American history, isn't it? From the poor to the rich. It's pretty, yeah. If I am 65, full retirement age 67, and I sell one of my properties, the house that's considered my main house, is that considered income or even one of my other properties? Not for Social Security retirement benefits, no, unless there is an exception. If you're a realtor and that's your business is to sell, real estate, then that's your business, and therefore, yeah. Again, that's only relevant up until you hit your full retirement age. Once you hit your full retirement age, you can do whatever you want. Social Security doesn't care. The one thing that might cost you is IRMA, what we were talking about earlier, the income-related monthly adjustment amount. So there is a deduction. The IRS gives you a deduction for selling a house, but if it's over that deduction, then you just might pay a higher Part B premium for 1 year. So. And then you can check out my website and it gets more into detail in IRMA. And if you see anything on there that's not explained adequately, or you want a deeper explanation, or I don't explain it very well, then make sure you click on my little feedback thing and say, hey, Ed, I read the IRMA thing, and you need to address this or make this a little bit easier to understand. And I'll go in there and see what we can do. This is a work in progress. And if you want to throw out a couple of bucks from my son and I for coffee, that's awesome. Subscribe, help out our sponsors who sponsor this live Q&A, Chapter Medicare, and that's all awesome. We appreciate it. All we count on from Musk and DJT are all marketing, over promise and undeliver. Yeah, in terms of they were going to find $2 trillion in savings, and then it was $1 trillion, and then maybe 150 billion. Yes, 150 billion is still 150 billion, but it wasn't really fraud, waste, and abuse. They didn't find any fraud at Social Security. Again, that's amazing. Social Security employees find fraud every day, but yeah, it's because they just didn't know what they were doing. So, Robert, is my unadopted 15-year-old eligible for some benefits under SSDI? Would he be eligible for some benefits after my death? Unadopted 15-year-old eligible for some benefits. Okay, so this is not a grandchild. It's just your own unadopted. If this is a stepchild and you're providing half support, yes. Then if you file for retirement benefits or disability benefits and start receiving those, if you have a stepchild, so you're married to that person's parent, and you're providing at least half support, then yes, they can get benefits on that person's record and continue getting after someone passes away. So let's see. Get someone I haven't seen here before. Carolyn, what did they decide about government workers that did not pay into the Social Security being able to claim Social Security benefits? Yeah, if you didn't pay into Social Security, then you don't get it. There's a lot of confusion. This is what the Social Security Fairness Act was talking about. They did not pay into Social Security, the Social Security part of the FICA tax. They paid into Medicare, but they didn't pay into the Social Security part of the Social Security FICA tax when they work for that government agency. About 3% of workers are in this category. So they work for Texas teachers, or California or Florida cop or something like that. But they did pay into Social Security. They had a part-time job or they worked someplace else before. So they are eligible, entitled to benefits from Social Security based on what they actually paid into it. The thing is the way the calculations, even if they, if they were receiving, they were, a police chief or something, a firefighter chief or something, and they were receiving $100,000 a year doing that, they're going to be considered low-income workers, and they're going to get a higher percentage as low-income workers, which is completely unfair. But most people that are receiving that don't understand it, or they don't want to understand it. So they just want the extra money. So that's why it's not fair for the other 97%. But anyway, I thought was 47% of your last pay. Yeah, not sure. In terms of calculating benefits, no. Yep, your high 35 years of earnings. So yeah, a lot of people. Let's see here. Michael Anth, don't you think investing into drug companies like Pfizer, which has over 308 drugs and more people taking medication each morning, would be the best? Okay, not sure. Yeah. let's see. Take and Took. What's up, Take and Took? How we doing today? I'm trying to find someone. Okay, here we go. Lady Rochelle. After retirement, I couldn't afford to keep my employer's health care until age 65. How will Trump's big, beautiful bill affect those of us that rely on ACA? Yeah, it also, in terms of Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act, we're looking at about, 14 million people losing health insurance. They're not going to lose health care, because we're going to go back to the old days where if they don't have health insurance, they can't afford health insurance. The place they work doesn't provide health insurance, or they can't afford because it's a small business or whatever the case may be. Then if they don't have health insurance, then what? And if they get sick or fall or, whatever, have an accident, then their primary care physician will be, the emergency room. And so that's going to put a big drain on, a lot of hospitals, and they're going to raise the prices, or a lot of rural hospitals are going to be shutting down. So yeah, it's crazy. So, all right. So if you don't want that to happen, reach out to your politicians. All right. Let's see. We're getting close to the end here. Question: why do they pay private companies to go above and beyond to deny people their benefits? Yeah, I'm not sure who they are. Oh, are we talking about Medicare Advantage plans? Yes. Well, yeah. And then there's a bill in Congress to make Medicare Advantage plans the default option, make Medicare Advantage kind of mandatory-ish. That's what Dr. Oz has always recommended, to make Medicare Advantage the default mandatory option. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Classic TV. I'm collecting Social Security at 67, but would like to suspend it as I am working and don't necessarily need the payment. Good idea to wait. Yeah, that's called the voluntary delayed retirement credits. So yes, absolutely. And I am looking for. My website is so new and it's changing all the time, and I'm trying to find the link. But if you look under the retirement section, I'm trying to find it right now, but I can't find it. I think I've changed this section around a little bit, but it actually has the link to the policy reference. Because if you want to go ahead and so here's what you do. If you want to do that, you contact Social Security and you tell them you want to do the voluntary delayed retirement credits. And the person at the front window or on the phone will probably say, no, you can't do that. You'll say, okay, thank you for your opinion. I want to talk to a Title II CS, a Title II of the Social Security Act. Before I became manager, I was Title II claim specialist. So if you just talk to someone that is a specialist in Title II, you just tell them, yeah, I want to do the voluntary delayed retirement credits. And I think on my YouTube description, it has the link too, but on my website, it has the link as well, because you'll need to show that possibly if they give you a hard time. So, all right, we're getting close to the end here. Let's see. Veterans, thank you for your service. Yes. Ed clicked on the subscribe on the website and nothing happened. It down again. Oh no. Let me check and see. Yeah, I was having a problem with the button a few days ago. Subscribe. Oh, yep, pops up there. Yep. So that one works. The donate button. So if you want to help out a little bit, the share your thoughts button. Yep, they all look like they work. So thank you for letting me know there and keeping an eye on that. I appreciate it. Okay, we'll do one last question, then we'll call it a day. Currently retired, age 65, recently surviving ex-spouse benefits and allowing mine to grow. Where do I find my benefit amount at different ages? Yeah, so you just go onto mysocialsecurity.gov, get your PIA, and it'll also tell you on there how much your benefit is going to be. The calculation it does for the delayed retirement credits is kind of wonky for some reason. But again, you can go onto my website and click on the retirement calculator. And as soon as you find your PIA, it'll tell you how much your delayed retirement credits will be, if up until 70. It won't give you the COLA because we don't know what the COLA is until October of every year. So There's that. All right. We'll call it a day for today. Y'all take care of yourselves. Have a beautiful night. And please, please, please take care of each other. Bye-bye.